are back with my Southern home, and I'm here with Anna McGary with Motiv Interiors, and thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So I've been really excited to see this space for a very long time because this was white and boring before, and you have made it dark and moody and so inviting.
Thank you. Yes, we were really excited to get our mood boards from this client because she specifically requested a really moody, cozy space. So it was really fun to pull it all together.
So what were their goals with this space before they contacted you?
Yeah, so we're seeing a big trend, especially after COVID, in mixed use areas. So they wanted this to be a functional space for the husband and wife to both work, but also a spot where they could gather with their family as well.
Well, you really pulled that off, and it's just amazing to me to see the transformation, because so many times, especially with homes that were built in the 90s and the 2000s, or when you have a craftsman style like we're in, you have these mixed use spaces and homeowners really don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, so that's where working with a designer can really help, because we can help incorporate custom storage pieces like these custom bookcases and really get the scale and proportion correct while kind of maximizing the functionality.
Well, and there's just so much to see in this space as well. So kind of walk me through what you changed about the space.
So mainly it was assessing their storage needs first, but then making sure we had a couple different areas for seating that they could use in a few different ways, and having custom upholstery and just bringing in unique patterns and layering them in a really interesting way.
And the artwork in this space has a sweet story.
So we did some fine art selection working with Stanford Contemporary, Stanford Fine Art. And as I was talking with the homeowner, I was like, well, how did you guys meet? So I learned a little about their love story, and they met in a music theory class. So as I was selecting art, we chose some beautiful French Cubist pieces that incorporated music themes. And then we found another really interesting piece made by the cousin of George and Ira Gershwin. So just having some really fun conversation pieces that kind of weave into their personal story, I think made this space extra special.
Well, that's the beauty of design, and when you use an expert like yourself, Anna, because you can take their story, you can take their goals and create this space for them.
And they also wanted to bring in some movement and natural elements. So we chose these gorgeous natural countertops that really just make the space. It could have been just a simple blue box, but adding that one element really gave it a lot of movement and interest.
And I love the hardware as well.
Yeah. So we chose some hardware that is evocative of a classic Rennie Mackintosh design. He was a big designer in the arts and crafts period. So since this is a craftsman home, not only with the casework details, but with the hardware, we wanted to bring in craftsman touches so that it was all within that greater historical context.
It's interesting, Anna, because normally in a small space like this, the design suggestion is not to use a dark color, but the way you layered it, and with the flooring and the lighter fabrics, it just looks cozy and not closed in.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that when you're doing a dark color, once you layer in those other elements, it's not going to be all that color. So we brought in bright colors with upholstery and beautiful patterns and a nice light area rug. So at the end of the project, you're getting a big dose of color, but it feels more balanced.
So I really want to know the story behind this gorgeous statement light behind us.
Yeah, so the client kept showing me a lot of similar pictures with a certain style of lampshade. And when I saw this piece, it was basically that shape inverted. And I thought it would be not only a beautiful sculptural piece, but a way to draw the eye upward and ground the space as well. We've got a little bit of a lower ceiling in here, so it just offered a beautiful way to draw the eye up, ground the space, and create some real beauty in this little cozy spot.
So talking about little details, I love the holiday flair that this space has.
So one thing that I love to focus on that some people forget during the holidays is your sense of smell. So we brought in some beautiful garlands with, natural greenery, juniper specifically. And then we even added some little pomanders, which are great, oranges with cloves in them. So as those dry out, the room becomes more fragrant. So just making sure to include those extra sensory details will make the room feel a lot more of a sensual experience.
And I love how you added their odor piece that is nostalgia of other family members.
Yeah, so I brought in this fun little piece that my grandmother always had, and it just adds a little movement to the space. But anytime you can incorporate your family traditions, it's gonna just make the whole space feel more cozy.
So what are some other tips for homeowners that are watching this that need a little help decorating those small spaces?
Sure, so I would say just keep it simple and think about balance, and it doesn't have to be completely symmetrical, but you want to think about visual weight. So if you're adding some weight to one side of the room, make sure you're doing something to balance it out on the other side as well.
And when you say visual weight, what does that mean to a homeowner that is just learning these words?
So just general size and bulk of an item. That can also translate to how light or dark it is. So if you're adding a lot of light, bright color to one side, you want to make sure you bring that in on the other side of the room as well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you so much.
I love seeing this be transformed.
Yeah, thank you, Kimberly.
We'll be back with more of My Southern Home in just a moment.